morning and welcome to Coffee Conversations. This is kind of a special Coffee Conversations because this is the last show of season 1. In fact, we've had 10 coffee conversations so far this year, all started because of us sheltering in, but now it's a thing and we're going to keep doing it. We love it. We're going to be hitting it hard again in the fall. But today I am so happy because I got to invite two of my dear friends who are amazing marketing professionals who really get roofing, and they are here today to talk marketing. So Kim Eckerman and Melissa Dunson of TAMKO, thank you for being here today.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yes, good morning. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, I tell you what, this is fun. This is fun. This is a great way to end the first season, right? We can talk about something we love, marketing and roofing. That's kind of neat.
Absolutely.
So,
Thanks for saving us for the end.
Yeah. The best for last. Okay, so let's get started. As everyone knows, you have your control panel, and on the control panel, please ask questions. These ladies are brilliant when it comes to marketing, and they can answer your questions. They can help you out, whatever we want to talk about. So we do have some questions that came in ahead of time. We're going to start working through those, but bring your questions. If you want to come on, Miss Megan Ellsworth is in the background, and we'll chat and get you on live, or we'll just ask your questions. Doesn't matter either way. And I probably should introduce myself. I'm Heidi Ellsworth, and we are going to start our last coffee conversations of season 1. So here we go. Kim, I want to start with you. Can you share a little bit about you? Who are you? What have you done in your career in roofing? And kind of let everybody give them a view of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know me, I love being in the hot seat. So, so I started out my career in broadcast journalism, actually, and
cool.
didn't really plan on a path moving into communications and marketing. Wasn't really what I thought I would be doing, but it really came full circle. So it was a really great beginning to my career, I think. And, curiosity is what led me into being a journalist, right? I love learning about other people. I love asking questions and helping people tell their story, right? That's really what drew me to that. And so it was sort of a natural transition into the communications and marketing world, right? It really led me right into it. And understanding how public relations works, right, from the media perspective, really helps me to understand what people are going to be interested in, right? What's going to draw them to a story, or going to want to make them listen to whatever branding you're trying to get out, right? What are you trying to say about your company, your organization, your brand, and really help me to drive that. So that's my background, right? I've been working for TAMKO. I originally started with TAMKO in 2007. So took a little bit of a break when my family, we moved to Chicago for my husband's career for a bit, and then landed back in Joplin, Missouri, which was TAMKO's sort of home base area right there in Southwest Missouri, what we refer to as the 4 states where we're from, right? So it's right near the four corners of where Missouri and Kansas and Oklahoma and Northwest Arkansas, where all those areas meet together. So we landed back in that area, and I was very, very thankful to get back on with TAMKO. I believe greatly in TAMKO and the company itself, and what it's founded in, what our driving core values are. All of those things make me very proud to be a part of TAMKO as well. So I've been working in the roofing industry, building products industry since, originally since 2007. So I don't want to do the math. You can do the math.
Hey, it's not as many
right?
as much math as mine, so you're doing good.
Yeah, but yeah, so all of that has culminated to where we're at today, right? Helping to lead communications and marketing for TAMKO. And so lots of years of experience there. And Melissa and I actually, really fun side story, we've known each other since college. So we yeah, we've been in each other's lives for a long time.
True.
Very happy to say that. Yeah. And then our lives collided at TAMKO. I'll let her tell her story and she can maybe connect the dots there about how we both landed at TAMKO. But
I
Yeah.
love it. Okay, Melissa, fill us in.
Well, so Kim and I actually we met in college. She was going through to get her broadcast journalism degree, and I was going through to get my print journalism degree. So we ended up working together on several projects. And then obviously, our paths split. I went and worked for newspapers. She went and worked in TV, and then we reconnected actually when I was still in the media and she was working for TAMKO, and so she was doing media relations and I was the media. And so we kind of reconnected. And then when she went and moved to Chicago, I asked her, well, what did you think about working there? And she said it was just the most fantastic job. So I made the switch to work in public relations and media relations and haven't really looked back since. It's been fantastic and I've really enjoyed it. I did leave for a year after the Joplin tornado, which people are probably familiar with. It was like the worst one they've had in like 70 years in the
Yeah.
US. And so I left for a year to do volunteer work and to lead a few like nonprofit initiatives like in our community. But then they got me back. They got me back because they had a project I really cared about. And so I came back a year later to help them write the TAMKO history book for their 70th anniversary. So I joined journalism really for the same reason Kim did, which is I wanted to learn about everything and everyone. And it's such a fantastic way to do it. And so I do think, like she said, it's a natural segue into marketing, which is so much about people, right? All
Mhm.
kinds of different people.
Exactly.
It's not really about what you're selling. It's about who you're selling to and how you're doing it. So it's been a good segue. So I've worked in communications since 2009, and then moved into digital marketing a few years before that, a few years before this, and then just last year kind of into the marketing department. So Kim is the director of marketing and communications or the director of marketing communications, and I am the manager of marketing communications at TAMKO at the moment.
Very cool. But I think it's funny too. Not funny, but I think it's really interesting. My degree actually, I had basically a minor in journalism and communications management, so HR.
Yeah.
Then they didn't know what communications management really was, but you learned a lot of business, which is what I wanted. And so I love, it really is true. You get the core education with all of that, and then it just kind of you find your spot. Like in
Mm-hmm.
roofing, we found our spots, right? And now we get to tell all these amazing stories of our roofing contractors and what they do every day
Yes.
to protect, basically,
Yeah.
to make sure families are safe and secure. And we get to tell that story. I'm with you guys. It's one of the favorite things. I mean, I love it. I love being able to do that. And so, and being able to share the greatness of this, of both the industry and the companies that are within it.
yeah,
So-
absolutely.
I was going to
So
say,
I was
Kim and
just
I had
gonna
this conversation the other day, and actually it was like, I don't know that I'm so much passionate about roofing as I am passionate about people and passionate about our company. And that just translates because roofing is what we do, right? And so
Yeah.
it comes out into all that. But really, yeah, you're right, Heidi. This is about people.
Yeah. And I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's about the roofing contractors who, it's about the manufacturers who are making the products to get to and through distribution and then to the roofing contractors who make it happen. And we're here really as kind of a very important support team. I know that sounds crazy,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, we're all supporting those roofing contractors
Absolutely.
to protect. And so what are you guys hearing? What are you two? I shouldn't say guys, right? Gals. What are you gals hearing?
Or
from
ladies,
out-
it's
or
fine.
ladies, or yeah, just all of us together. What are you hearing out in the field from your roofing contractors around COVID, around the sheltering in, and more importantly about recovery and getting back out there? Maybe Melissa, you can start. What are some of the things you're hearing back from your contractors?
Yeah, well, we're a couple months into this now, and in the beginning, there were a lot more restrictions. I mean, depending on which part of the country you were looking at, but recently, a lot of those states have opened up. They've relaxed some of those. That plus hailstorms, which have been just
Mhm.
pummeling giant portions of the country, have actually meant that a lot of roofing contractors are very busy right now. And thankfully, some of the supply chain, you know issues that they were having because states were really locked down. Um, those are really seeming to lift in large portions of the country right now. So a lot of guys and girls are back at work now, and I think people, um, in general, kind of some of the concern that people were having, they're maybe having less concern about it, and so people are more willing to allow, the contractors to actually come and install the product. I know that they were able to do a lot of remote selling, but people were still feeling a little nervous when it came to the actual physical install, but that seems to be getting better, where there's less concern about that. And maybe it's also just that the roofing industry has been able to show um, that they can do that safely, and have really kind of allayed some of those fears.
Hmm.
I don't know
Yeah.
if that answers your question.
No, I think so too. I think there's been, the industry as a whole, everybody involved has done a great job on getting messaging out that we're safe, right? We're
Yeah,
essential workers. We need to
right.
protect your homes. We're here to make it happen and we can do it in a very safe way. So I think that's been super important. And also, I don't know if I've ever seen the industry come together so
Mhm.
at the same time. It's just been pretty amazing. So I think we lost Kim there for a minute. Kim, are you still there? Yeah, okay. There
Here
she
she
is.
is.
We may be having some internet. So, um, so last night we had a great get together with a number of ladies from National Women in Roofing, and they were talking about across the country. We had a number of contractors on there, and what we heard was the same thing, Melissa. And Kim's gonna be back in just 2 seconds. We heard the exact same thing: is that they're busy. There is a lot going
Yeah.
on. So, what are you hearing on from your side of the world on the contractors, their pipelines, sales, how that's all working?
Yeah, I think in the beginning when it became clear like we can't do exactly the same thing that we have been doing, everybody scrambled a little bit. Some people were already there in that kind of digital space, so it was less disruptive to them. But some people just kind of had to figure out a new way to do business, right? Everybody keeps talking about the new normal.
Yeah.
Um, but I do feel like, right, we're what, 2, 3 months into this now, that a lot of people who had to rethink their selling strategy, had to rethink their customer engagement strategy, that they've really come back into sort of, they've gotten into line. It's like, okay, now we're back in the flow. Now we're figuring this out. So I do think that it's gotten a lot better, and that people are getting used to a new way of doing things, which includes a lot of honestly digital marketing that
Yeah.
people maybe weren't engaging in before. So
So let's talk about that a little bit.
yeah,
Digital marketing. You and I put together, you and I worked on, and you did most of it. In fact, I think you did all of it. On this great document on really, what contractors should be looking, and you did it right at the beginning of COVID. So it
yeah,
really, I thought it was just critical because, everybody was putting out things, how to help with COVID
right.
and how to, all the safety things, which is so important. But you really went into, hey, this is the time for websites, for
Hmm.
social media, for everything. Talk a little bit about that, just kind of your brain, how you went through that and what you gave out to your contractors.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, right, when I read some of this, how to function during COVID, I felt like a lot of that stuff that different people were putting out made a lot of assumptions about what contractors already knew. And I just, as a journalist, right, you never start from that place. You're
Yeah.
essentially starting from the place like, I'm assuming people don't know. I'm assuming they don't know anything, and so you really have to start at the foundation of it. So, um, just wanted, to talk to people about, okay, maybe people don't even know about branding. Maybe they don't have an idea about their brand. Maybe they don't understand who their audience is or what their value proposition is. And so how do you help people find that? And then a lot of times you'll read documents. I mean, you can go online, you can find blogs that are talking about digital marketing, but it's very ethereal a lot of times, and it's talking about the ideas of it, which is good. But trying to find somebody and a document that will really get into the nitty gritty of like, okay, I am not a developer. What are basic SEO strategies that I can implement on my website? What can I do? Like, what is SEO? How has that changed even from what they thought they knew 10 years ago? Yeah, some of that stuff. I mean, we throw around words like CRM, but the truth is, like, people are like, I don't actually know what that is, or maybe you have the technology, you're just not actually fully using it. So that was kind of my thought on it when I was approaching, how do we create resources for contractors? I just didn't want to make the assumption that they knew already. So that if they didn't, oftentimes people don't want to ask a question because everybody keeps acting like you already know the answer. And if you don't, it's hard to ask that question. So if people had a foundation already, they could just like skip over all that and move on to the more advanced stuff. So anyway, I don't know if that helps. I can go on.
No, I think it's really true. And in fact, I think you are hitting on something that's really important because, okay, for example, Karen Edwards, our editor, and it's funny, Karen and I, we've gone to all these jobs together too, just like you and Kim. So we just got all
I love her.
together.
She's awesome, by the way.
Amazing.
Awesome. Yeah.
And so the other day I said to Karen, I said, we need to get back into RSS feeds, and we got to figure out what's going on with RSS feeds. Yes. And she said, that's so yesterday, Heidi. What are you talking about? You don't even know what you're talking about. And I said, no, I think there's something more to it. We got to look at it again because I think it's changed. I'm not, but of course I haven't taken any time to do that. Would you? And sure enough, she went out there and she came back. She's like, it's totally different, but we need to be doing it. And
absolutely.
You just said, I love you too. Good morning, Karen. And
I love her.
I think for contractors, it's exactly what you're saying is so spot on, because what they're thinking about is maybe when they got that website 10 years ago, hopefully it hasn't been totally 10 years since they've redone it, but everything's changed. How you do it, the forms, everything that needs to be on that website, including possibly RSS feeds, is totally different today. So what's your suggestion to contractors? Like, where do they even start? And how do you get them to not be shy about raising their hand and saying, hey, I could use a little help?
Yeah, so this is what I found is that, I mean, I try to be unapologetic about the fact they're like, man, I don't know everything. So every time somebody says, you're an expert, you're like, I feel like I'm constantly learning all the time because, to your point, it's changing all the time. I mean, even I got an email from, it was some agency the other day, and they had some different links. I'm like looking through this little e-newsletter, and it was a really in-depth article about the recent Google algorithm change. And I'm just like reading it and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I read this, because it was, it's going to affect traffic to your website if you don't maybe do this or do this. And that like happened like 2 weeks ago, right? They just made this change. And so that kind of stuff's happening all the time. My biggest suggestion would be to find a couple groups, not just one, but that you can follow that really will help you at least stay aware of some of the changes, right? So if your SEO strategy is based on 10 years ago, I mean, everything has changed. It's radically different. Google made a change last year that radically changed the way that that these search results were going to start showing up and how they were indexing stuff on sites. And then again, this year, I haven't even made it all the way through the article yet, but I need to go back and read it, because you're like, okay, well, they made a change 2 weeks ago. That's going to do exactly the same thing. It just shuffles it all again and changes it. And you have to keep readjusting your strategy. So yeah, I would just find, and maybe I can get you some links of people that I follow if you're interested.
We can put those out.
Yeah, that are just, these are some resources, and these are groups, and different ones have maybe a specialty in, there's some that are what I would consider like SEO gurus, and there's some other ones that are maybe social media is really their focus, or user experience on websites. Uh, but you just have to constantly read. That's my that's my
Melissa,
suggestion.
I have a blog forming in my mind that we can
Yes.
have on the site from
Yes.
you with all your resources on it, and
Perfect.
who to follow and what to do, because I do think, I'm really fortunate to talk to a number of marketing people in roofing businesses, right? So I was just working with Haley in Montana from CalRoof, and great company. And all we did was talk marketing, and they're like just going, okay, how do we do this? It's when you're marketing for roofing, it's different, right? You're going out to homeowners, you're going out to building owners. It's not the same. And a lot of agencies and a lot of people out there don't get that, right? What experience have you had that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I do think it's unfortunate. Our industry is kind of niche. Hi, Kim.
Hi. It's always interesting when your internet just randomly goes out. So,
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
sorry, ladies. I have no idea what you've been talking about except for just
All
the last
right.
few seconds. So,
Digital marketing.
It's
Great.
marketing.
oh, perfect.
It's all marketing
Perfect.
today.
No, but I think roofing is kind of a niche market, and I do think that um, as a client, whether you're going to be a manufacturer or you're talking about as a roofing contractor, you have to know your business, because you cannot assume that marketing people do. I'm just being really honest, right? That was something that we found, and I'll quote. I think it's like the CMO of Mercedes was sitting in a session she did one time at a conference, and she just said, listen, the moment that you let the agency, run basically your branding and your messaging and come up with all that is the day that you're sunk, because there's no chance that they know your customers and your business better than you do. They need to help you execute it, but you have to know your own business. And so that's a challenge in roofing, because oftentimes the people, right, who know the most about it don't necessarily know about marketing. So I think that's maybe part of what I feel passionate about, is bridging that gap between people who they know their business, they know their value proposition, they just are not thinking about it like that. But if we can help them, think about things in a marketing type way, then I think they can be really successful, because the truth is they do know their business and they know their customers and they know how to sell, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Well, and they have the vision too, right?
yes.
And that relates to the vision. What's your vision for where you want to grow, or how you want to grow, or the type of customer you want to attract? Those are the things that, even though you may not be thinking about them presently, they're in your mind, right? And so that's the marketing role, to help pull that information out of you, to help relay it into the strategy that you define, right? And that in turn becomes then the marketing's job to help execute that. So,
Well, and Kim, I'd love for you to talk just a little bit too about, I don't think contractors utilize the support of manufacturers enough. Having, done marketing for Malarkey and for Carlisle and for Eagleview, every single time we were putting together contractor programs, teaching B2B, really looking at how to help the contractors with giving them the tools, and just giving them the support. So what have you seen, Kim, on that front of, how can contractors really get this great help that is right there in front of them most of the time with their manufacturers?
well, making the connections with the manufacturers is important, right? Making sure that we are aware that you're installing our products, and that you want to be loyal to the brand, or that you like the brand, or you want to learn more about the brand. Making sure that there's a connection point there, right? Which is on us as well, right? Helping to provide information and ways to contact us, or ways to find what you're looking for. One of our biggest initiatives that we've really been working toward in 2020 is helping to provide more information about the resources that we have, right? There are vendors that we work with, that we can help to provide either discounts to you for services that we think will be helpful to contractors, right? Those are those are highly beneficial, relationships that we have that we can help you turn into something beneficial for your business, right? So I think those are really strong connections to be making. So we've been on a drive in 2020 to really help, like I said, to push that education portion of it and make that information widely available to contractors who are either, maybe they're just following us on social media. And so we're putting those opportunities out there for, hey, we've got a webinar coming up about, some financing options that maybe you could potentially offer. And oh, by the way, if you're part of our contractor program, you get a special discount, right, for offering those services as well. So either following us through social media or working, with people like you, Heidi, and through Roofer's Coffee Shop and trying to get that information out that way, right? Making the connections with our audience in the best way that we can. So yeah, I mean, those are important relationships to have. And like I said, I think it just goes back to the key of that connection point and making sure that the manufacturer is aware that you're out there and you enjoy their product and that you want to be putting their product on and you want to be doing more with that manufacturer. Because a lot of times, it may just be a simple fact of we don't know, right? And I think we've made a lot of those discoveries through social media. Melissa can speak more to that, but we have found some fantastic loyal contractors who are out there every day installing our products and hitting it hard and putting out some beautiful projects. But we've got to go search hard to find that information, right? Maybe they weren't necessarily tagging us or, there's all sorts of back end things that have to take place in order for us to find those people and connect with them. So
I think, well, and I do want to go to social media, but before we leave this topic, I think this is so important. I don't think the contractor, I mean, there's some contractors who totally get it. I mean, they are so on it and we work with them all the time. We get to see their projects and it's great. But I think there's a lot of contractors that really don't understand that we want to highlight the beauty and performance of their jobs, right? And so we are looking for those jobs to highlight for you as a manufacturer and then for you to send those to us in the media, right? We want to put those out there because it shows, I mean, we love getting projects in on the coffee shop. And so I think that if the contractors really, understand to work with their manufacturers or to contact us directly, and, at Roofer's Coffee Shop, we want to get that out there because that's a celebration of their craft and what amazing work they do out there with those beautiful roofs.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I've been a contributing writer for some of the different roofing magazines, and I mean, I'm going to be really honest. They came looking for a project, and I said, I don't really have any off the top of my head, so I had to go to social media and find a really cool project, and then contact that contractor who didn't actually have a relationship with a TAMKO rep at the time, and say, hey, I really like your project. It's super cool and historic. I want to do an article about this. But so here's the big pitch, right? Is that if you have cool projects, don't make me go find them.
Right. Yeah.
So
Bring them on.
send them to us. Absolutely. Right. Because we would love, right, Heidi, you guys in the media, and I used to work in the media, right? This is the thing. They're always looking for something unique, something that your readers or your listeners would want to see about, right? Did they want to learn more about that? And so we'd love to supply those projects if you guys as contractors feel like you have an interesting project. Oh gosh, please send them, please post them on social and tag us. Absolutely. And I will just speak to Kim's point that I know that seems crazy to say that, we may not know that you exist. And that's because, right, that's traditionally how these distribution channels have worked is that,
right.
We don't sell to you guys directly, right? That's not really how this works, but you are the end user of it. And so we would like very much to have a relationship with you, but oftentimes, unless you happen to know a rep or unless the distributor helps connect us with you, we actually may not know. And so that's again another plug to please connect with us. We are passionate about our brand and we're looking for other people who are also passionate about our brand. And we'd like to be brand advocates together, right? And so please call us, email us, contact
Tell
us,
us.
tag us on social media,
We hear,
please.
we hear
Right?
that all the time. We want to connect. Well, and
Yeah.
that's why, you know, that's why you get involved in all these. You guys are involved in so many associations and National Women Roofing
Yes.
and
Right.
Roofers Coffee Shop, is to make those connections, right? To be in the
Absolutely.
same place. We
Absolutely.
have a really great question. Emery Smith, thank you so much. I don't know if you want to come on and ask this. If you do, chat up Megan. I don't know if that's the right way to say that. Not chat up, but chat with Megan. Sorry. And go if you want to come on. But we'll kind of start this conversation a little bit because I just think this is such an interesting question. Emery said the corporate marketing offer is there, but the connection from the owner to their staff is not often done with measurable metrics. How they would qualify for the program, for loyalty programs, and how this program would make the difference to the bottom line is still vague in many smaller companies. Who will take ownership? I think that's such a great question because I was in that spot. I was that marketing person for Interstate Roofing out of Portland, Oregon. And I can remember being there looking at these loyalty programs and working with the owner. And hopefully Mike Satrin is not going to shoot me when I say this, but he wanted like the ping pong table and I wanted the trade show booth. And, you know, there was a little bit, we were kind of going back and forth. I finally got my way, but you know, it was at that time really looking at it, pulling all the points together and stuff like that. And a lot of times the manufacturer is talking to the owner, not to the person, the marketing person who's actually doing it. So what are some suggestions for, you know, making that connection and helping them with that?
Yeah, well, I think it's key that you are communications is key to everything, right? So you're talking about maybe a lack of perception of the importance of making that connection with the. Are we referring to the connection with the manufacturer with like a contractor program? Is that what you're hitting on? Or okay,
Yeah.
So I mean, you got to make sure that the perception is not just there from a that it's relayed correctly, right? That we can see the how to highlight this and how to the importance of it, right? And that it's not just about having a stamp, right? It's not just about staking your claim and saying I'm a member of this thing. It's about being sort of all in, right? All in together, right? How do we work on this together, and how is this mutually beneficial, right? We as a company, like part of our mission statement for TAMKO, right, is about making sure that what we do is mutually beneficial for all parties involved, right? And so I think it's finding someone who is working to make it mutually beneficial for all parties involved, right? I think that that's an important part of it. And so driving that connection further throughout your organization, it's, you know, we don't just have this stamp. We're not just saying that we are, you know, a TAMKO Pro contractor. We are part of this program because we believe in this aspect, right? Or this is how we work well together. They, as a manufacturer, do these things that are beneficial for us, and we, as a contractor, do these things that are beneficial, not necessarily for the manufacturer, but relaying that to the homeowner, right? That this is what's beneficial for you. This is why this works well. So I feel like I've probably rambled on enough, and I know Melissa, I can see she's got some important things to add there. So.
Well, I do think
No
that
rambling.
there's two different ways to look at this, right? And if the person asking this question is a marketing person, right, there is the value, the immediate value that can be communicated to the contractor, right? That this is that to the owner, like this is the value to your business. And then as a side piece of that is about the value to the homeowner, right? Of that association, that affiliation, which Kim kind of touched on. And I do think if you as a marketing person are looking to try and express the value of a contractor program to maybe an owner who, to Heidi's point, you know, it is maybe valuing something else, you have to break it down. You have to let's be less marketing about it, right? Let's get down to brass tacks. Let's talk about the dollars and the cents. Let's talk about who their number one competitor is in the market, right? And let's talk about how they are perceived and how your business is perceived, and about how you want to change that, and how this program can help get you that thing that you want. And so, like many things in life, I mean, communications, marketing is about helping people to do the thing that they already want, right? I mean, and so you
Right.
just have to maybe craft that and express that in a way that helps that contractor understand why that's valuable to them. And I do think, right, there's benefits to programs, there's loyalty, there's all kinds of things, right? There's benefits of it, but I do think that one of the greatest benefits of it is the perception, right, of like that you're using this contractor program as a way to market yourself to the
Mm-hmm.
homeowner, right? It's a way to elevate
Right.
your business and differentiate yourself from the other people who are in the market. And I think some contractors really get that, and other ones don't. I mean, they're looking at the dollars and cents of this part of the program and this part of the program and this tool versus like, how does having this affiliation elevate my business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I've been thinking about a little bit is at what point does the market get saturated with one particular type of certification, right? To where it's like you may need to think differently and do something that actually differentiates you, instead of like a me too, right? Like I just also have this thing that all these other people have, and maybe looking a little bit outside your box for a different kind of certification, or a different manufacturer to work with, or a different manufacturer certification that could be like, hey, I know everybody over here is this thing, but like we're over here and we're different, right? And we have this
Yeah.
other certification. So it's just it's a thing, it's a way to think about it, and then a way to communicate that, to Kim's point, to the owner in a way that they would respond to it. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I think too, one of the things to Emery's point is I think it is so important to educate sales and marketing, right? So
Mhm.
how often, this is going to just make you guys cringe, but I can remember when I first started at Malarkey and I was brand new to it, and there was this pile of leads. Remember when we used to get leads from magazines and they'd come in like from Western Roofing and stuff? You'd have all these leads,
Mm-hmm.
right? I had no idea what they were, so I just filed them away. I don't think I've ever told anybody that. Yeah, I'm mortified later when I realized what I'd done. And because no one took the time to say,
Right.
hey, this is what you're supposed to do. And I think to that point, getting for contractors who are listening out there, it is so important to make sure your sales and marketing people are talking, and that both sales and marketing are talking to your manufacturers, that
Yeah.
those relationships get built. And if you're a
Yes.
marketing person out there right now going, no one tells me anything, then you've done the first step right, because you're listening to this. And
Right.
second of all, reach out to Kim and Melissa, reach out to me, reach out
Yes.
to the associations. There is so much support out there. There's so much self-education that doesn't cost anything,
Mhm.
that I think you can then, to your point, which I love, is then that marketing person can take all this information and really put it down to the ROI, to the return
Mhm.
on investment, and then share that in a way with management that continues that connection. And then maybe the next year they get to go to IRE and meet
Right.
with the marketing teams and really kind of continue to elevate that business. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
And
I would just add, like, I would encourage that marketing person, don't wait to ask questions, right? If there's something that you're not clear on or you're not understanding, like you said with the leads, right? You were just filing them away. And I mean, because you don't know, right? And
I
a
had no
lot of
idea.
times I feel like, in that realm, you feel like you're supposed to have the answers, and nobody has all the answers. Don't
Yeah.
wait, don't hesitate to go and ask, to learn, and use your natural curiosity. Like Melissa and I were talking about, at the start of this conversation today, our natural curiosity is what led us into the world that we're in today, right? So using that to know, don't just wait for someone to tell you or think that you should know, like be going out and seeking your own knowledge, but ask questions of your owners or leadership of why we're doing it the way we're doing it. You know, obviously you want to be polite when you ask those types of questions, right? But just trying to genuinely understand how they're doing things and why they're doing things the way they're doing them, so that you can help start to create that outlook in your mind of just a full understanding of how the business works, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If
And
I
I
can
think
jump
too
in,
that,
I was just going
no,
to jump
go
in and
ahead. Yeah,
say,
please.
since we have started doing some of these podcasts and webinars with you, Heidi, we have had a number of marketing professionals reach out to us that either
Good.
work in-house for contractors and builders, or they're contracted out an agency, and they've reached out and said, what resources do you have that we can use to help this contractor? And
Hmm.
surprise, surprise, we have resources that can help.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and so you just have to ask, right? And so that's why both of you guys have said it, but if you work in sales or marketing for a roofing contractor, you don't have to wait for the owner to reach out to us. You can.
Hmm.
And that we can have a discussion about, what are the things that maybe we could do to work together, right? To
Right.
improve your website, to improve your SEO, to improve your service offerings, because we have some of that, and we do that every day. But if you don't reach out to us, we don't necessarily know that you're there, or that you're in need of those services. So yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to do a shameless plug right now, but we have on our forum, on our Roofers Coffee Shop forum, we started Shingle Conversations.
Mhm.
Right. And Shingles Conversations is all about these ladies and what they've done with it, really talking about the colors, the brand, putting, helping people with homeowners and how to message that and how to, just how to. So that is another resource
Mhm.
that we'll
Hmm.
put out there. We'll make sure
Yeah.
we'll get another blog on it out there, and we'll also on the TAMKO directory. But if you go to the forum, you can chat with Melissa or with
Mhm.
Kim. I'm
Mhm.
checking it all the time, and you can ask
Hmm.
these questions, and it allows you to kind of start forming those connections in maybe an easier way than picking up the phone sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's
Absolutely.
it's less intimidating, right? We we don't have to talk in person. We don't have to necessarily do a video chat, although we would do those as
We
well.
can.
But yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, go and check those out. Yeah, and
Yeah.
engage with
Yeah,
us. We would love that.
Well, and
I
just to
love it.
use
And
an
so,
example, that I actually had a sales manager at a trade show. I think, can't remember if it was this year or last year, but he brought over a large contractor who had a very successful business, but had started kind of a side business as well. It was a side piece of the business, and he wasn't really sure how to get it to rank better, right? When
yeah.
people were searching online. And right, this had nothing to do with shingles. This conversation, and he said, I don't know, but I have a feeling I know somebody who can help you. So this contractor walked into our booth, and we sat down and we had a really basic conversation about what were some things he could do foundationally to improve the SEO of his business pretty much immediately on this side business. So
Hmm.
we're so happy to have those conversations as well. We don't know all the things, but the things we do know, we're so happy to share those with our contractors in a way that would help their business. So
Yeah.
And the things you don't, you can point, right? You can say, hey,
right,
they know over there,
yeah.
Right.
Or
go
we'll
that
go and
direction.
learn how to do it and then help you.
Right.
It's fine.
And then help you. Right.
Yeah. Well, and so let's talk a little bit too about social media. I think social media is so powerful. So, of course, I did my shameless plug for the forum, but social media is a great place to connect also, but also to, if you're really kind of shy, to just follow and read the articles that are out there. And you are doing tremendous amounts on Facebook and LinkedIn. Let's start with you, Melissa. What's some of your advice and tips to contractors on how to do their own social media, but kind of watch what you're doing and you help, use some of that in their marketing or their
Yeah. So
social media?
I would say, a huge part of all of this is content, right? And so
Mhm.
that's one of the reasons I think that to all the people on this call right now, all have a journalism background, and the reason that that works is that marketing today, so much of it is content, right? It's about content
Hmm.
creation and content distribution.
Mhm.
And in journalism, it's all about content creation, right? That's what you do. You're constantly creating, you're researching, you're finding, you're reporting and distributing content. And so um, I would say focus on your content, right? So find something that's worth saying. Um, and one piece of content, um, you could use it a lot of different ways if it's good. And it's not like you just use
Yes.
it one time and then it's like, well, now I have to go make another thing. If you have a good piece of content, you can use it a lot of different ways. You can use it to talk about a lot of different things. You can post about it multiple times. I mean, I've seen some content that some other people have created that, I mean, it still has legs years later. It's still being
Mhm.
shared. It's still relevant. So focus on that content. That's what I would say. And
Mhm.
to Heidi's point, if if you're struggling with content or creating content, come to us because we have created a lot of content and content that you can share. Content that is specific to contractors, content that's specific to homeowners that you could use to educate those homeowners and answer really common questions. Reach out to us. I mean, if you're like, hey, I want to use some of this, I mean, just let us know, right? Maybe there's even a way that you could use it on your site. Um,
Mhm.
so that's what I would say is that rather than focusing on the distribution channel, which is like all the different social and which of these should I be on,
Mhm.
I would focus on the content first and then secondly focus on the distribution channel. Because if you don't have anything worth saying on social, I mean, it's so noisy, right? It's just
Right.
people will scroll right past. And even more important than how often you post is that what you're posting is shareable, it's quality, it's something people want to read. So content first, distribution channel second. Do you have something you want to say, Kim?
Yeah, well, just to add to that, right? How do you know what's important to say, or how do you know where to begin? And I think it's what are you passionate about? What do you know, right? What do you know that would be helpful to other people? And thinking about it in terms of how it will benefit someone else, right? So I think passion is a key to that, right?
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
passionate about, I don't know, XYZ, right? That's putting shingles on someone's roof after a storm or whatever that may be, right? And determining how you can relay that information in a helpful manner that really captures someone's attention. And passion is the way to do that, right? Because that's what shines through and that's really what captivates someone. So,
I think you're so right. We actually have Emery wants to come on with a follow-up question. So
Hey.
I believe Megan has Emery. Are you on?
Yes, I am.
Hey, Emery.
Awesome.
hi, Emery.
Hi. So I'm not fit for public viewing, so I'm going to keep the webcam off. You guys, you three are so beautiful. I'm going to just leave it there, okay?
Gosh.
You're sweet.
Melissa, you hit a point that is so right on. We all struggle, back in the Yellow Pages days, the logo of every brand had to be on our page, and so you had to go from a quarter page to a half page just to fill all the extra logos. That all stemmed from a really interesting thing. I'm an old guy. So back in the 70s, roofing manufacturers allied, much like car dealers. If you were a Ford dealer, you were a Ford dealer. You didn't talk about Chevy.
Right,
And
right.
I came out of distribution, and the interesting thing was even distribution was focused on one or two brands. Well, now you go to the distributor, and they've got millions of dollars of inventory of every brand.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's not it's the SKU issue like in the grocery store. What do I choose? There's too many choices.
Mm-hmm.
And how can I get the and then there's this psychological thing of if I make the wrong choice and I go with this guy instead of that company, what have I missed out on? And so the
Fear of
whole
missing out. Yeah.
that's it. And so now you've got the guy who's the owner of the company who's wearing too many hats already, and he's trying to figure out what team to get on, and he has no
Mm-hmm.
clue. And he goes to his distributor, and the distributor doesn't help because they've got anything that they want. And so it's really, to me, it's one of those people, as as one who's now an observer in my late 60s, I can look and say from the outside, hey, just pick one. You're not aligning with all of them forever. Just pick one. And Melissa, your comment about content before channel, that is so right on. Just make a story.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out, but just make a story. And a couple of weeks ago, Heidi, you had a contractor who had so much passion that it's like, you know who I'm talking about, that it's like it just oozes through the channel. It doesn't matter what channel. You could be on Fox, and I think CNN would pick it up. You know, this guy had so much enthusiasm that it just did the job, you know. And the interesting thing is, what really captivated me was it was talking about all the other parts of being a business owner besides just putting shingles down. And so that passion just enlarged. He now is part of a community. He's part of a change agent. He's really doing something. I grew up, man, we were not change agents. We were kind of embarrassed to say we were a roofing supplier. You know, we were really embarrassed to say that, you know, we were the guys that put shingles on the house. And now it's totally different. So you guys have done such an excellent job of bringing marketing into the common everyday. But this challenge really is, and Heidi, you're doing a fabulous job of bringing it down to, Kim, you mentioned it, measurable little things that you do every single week, you know, so that the owner says, wow, I'm not just doing this as a courtesy to, you know, the local chamber of commerce to try and, you know, be impressive. I'm actually seeing a bottom line change. And what's in it for me really is a darn good motivator for all of us.
That is so true. Emery, thank you. And that was Charles.
Thank you.
You probably know that, but Charles Antis, and I know both Kim and Melissa know him. So that is, I love, Emery, we're going to have to hear more from you. I love your perspective and seeing the industry. And but ladies, that is, I think, what Emery just said too. And I know we don't have a lot of time, but I would like to just touch real quick on that. Picking a manufacturer, it's kind of like when you pick, you know, we do that every day in our life, right? We pick the companies that call and talk to us. And so how do they find out more? And maybe Kim, you can bring that. How do they find out more about you so they can build that relationship? Because that's really what makes the difference.
Yeah, I mean, we've been focused on trying to tell our TAMKO story, right? I feel like that's the core of who we are and helping people to understand that about us, right? Not that we're manufacturing a quality product and we're getting out products that you want and that you want to put on and that you're used to working with, and we're giving you tips on how to install them to save time and money, right? Because those are driving factors that you need in line with your roofing business, but also aligning with like, you know, at TAMKO, we believe strongly in supporting, you know, the communities where we operate, right? And that's been a core part of who we are. Also supporting veterans, right? And so you'll see that we oftentimes are, you know, like when we're donating to projects, right? It's focusing on re-roof projects for either veterans homes or facilities that assist veterans in some way, right? Those are so it's like what do I believe in? What do I want to affect change in potentially, right? So it's not just connecting. You're not just connecting with a product. You're connecting with a brand, right? So what does that mean to you? And so I think that's what I want. That's what I want people to understand about our brand, right? Is the things that we're passionate about in that regard. You know, we've been dedicated to helping others in multiple ways, and so I think that's what Melissa and I have really been trying to help to push out about TAMKO, right? Is this understanding of who we are and how we operate and how we connect with our communities. That's been a big part of what we've been driving. So
yeah, if I can hop in, it has been. I think anybody, I'm not that old, right? I'm 36, but I've even seen really the change in consumer behavior and the way that consumers interact with brands. And it didn't used to matter, honestly. It really didn't. Really what the brand was and what they represented and their community presence. But that's changed. I mean, that's changed so radically in probably the last 15 years. That, and even I would say even more in like the last maybe 5 years, that people, even more than the product. I mean, I think Apple is a great example of this, right? It's there. You can buy a phone or a computer from anybody. I mean, there's just so many different brands, but people consistently choose something not just because of the product, but because they want to be affiliated with that brand, because they like what that brand stands for. And in Apple's case, right, they stood for creativity and breaking outside the box and being not part of the establishment, right? These are all ideas that people connected with, and so I would say that I love our brand, right? I love our company. I love our support of our communities and just the deep honor and respect that we show servicemen and women, and we do that a lot because we hire them a lot and we put them in places of leadership. I mean, I always heard a quote one time. It said, like, if you want to honor veterans, hire them. I mean, that's the deal. And I do believe that TAMKO's put their money where their mouth is with that. But I would say that that's a thing you could look for more than just the product, right? The product is important, but it's not the only thing, right? Find a product that you can believe in, that you like, that works in your market, but then also pick a brand that you can feel good about doing business with, right? That you're like, I like what that brand does. I like who they are in their community. I like their history, and we have a killer history, man. Freedom, entrepreneurship. I mean, it's so many thousands and thousands of good jobs. It's a good history. So pick a company that you can feel good about what they represent.
Yeah, the American dream, right? That's what TAMKO was founded on. So it's a pretty great story. I would encourage people, if you're not familiar, to go and read it. I mean, we've got information on our website about it too. So it's
such a good story. I wrote a giant book about it.
It really is a good story. It is.
Read the book.
And also leads perfectly into, our affiliations with National Women in Roofing as well. Ethel May Humphreys, right? The Humphreys family founded, her father, E.L. Craig, founded our company, and in her early 20s, a young single woman, and this was in the 1940s,
late 1940s, late 1940s,
late 1940s, when women weren't really even allowed in offices, let alone leading manufacturing companies. And she led TAMKO, and it's a fantastic story, right? So I like to refer to her as the original woman in roofing, right? I know even competitors of ours have referred to her. I think it was the comment was she's the grand dame of roofing, right? So that's a really beautiful, wonderful story, and is a large part of why I feel so passionate about being a member of National Women in Roofing. Melissa as well, why that's a big part of us, and why we latch on to that sponsorship and affiliate there. So.
Yeah, I would say that if you're a woman in roofing, you should connect with us. Just shamelessly, right? Because it's such a huge part of our history and the foundation of our company. Is women in roofing, and that continues to be the case in our company. So
yes, we strongly support men as well, obviously.
Right. Yes. Right.
Yes.
Well, and I know we talk quite a bit off and on, and there's just so many times I think you're in the heartland, you're really so much the heart of the industry and for so many roofing contractors. So we are getting to the end of our hour, but I mean, this has gone so fast. I have loved this conversation with both of you, and we're going to do it again, right? We keep this going.
Absolutely.
So Shingle Conversations on the forum. Melissa and Kim will be on there. We're gonna make sure that they'll be seeing your comments if you want to ask more questions. I think this branding is so important. And so please take the time to go on there and visit with them. And so like I said at the beginning, this is our last coffee conversation. Sorry, there's a fly. There's our last coffee conversations for the season. I've been having fun kind of laughing about that, in that, you know, it's kind of like Ellen, right? She ends and she takes a summer off and you watch reruns and you come back in the fall. Well, we're going to do that, and we're just, you know, going to be shameless about it and have fun. So all summer long we'll be running, promoting every week these on demand, so you can watch Kim and Melissa anytime you want. They'll be on under Read, Listen, Watch on the Coffee Conversations, and we'll be promoting that all summer long. And then we'll be back. And we are going to be back with season 2 of Coffee Conversations on September 10th. So that's a Thursday after Labor Day. And I'm so excited. We are going to have inside information about the International Roofing Expo, IRE. So yes, I know, we're all like, do we get to go someplace?
So exciting.
I love that show. It's a great show.
If you want inside information and you want to know what's happening, you got to be here. Okay, you ladies will be here, right?
Yeah.
You'll be on.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So to everybody out there, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being a part. Emery, I just want to say again, thank you for that great question. That was just awesome. And please be back. We will see you all next season. But in the meantime, find us on the forum, find us on the coffee shop, reach out to these ladies, National Women Roofing. There's a lot of ways to connect over the summer. Thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you.